name's Marquez Castellanos. I guess, of all the stories of like weird stuff I've experienced and all that, I guess the biggest one was probably the first one I ever really experienced. Um, we had an aunt in our family that lived in South Bend, Indiana. Every house she went to, something was messed up. It was like crazy as hell, and so we just had this assumption that, it's like something was following her, or attached to her, or something like that. But always evil. Like going in the basements was a no-no for little kids. We'd come up like, knocked around or bruised. We'd trip over like flat surfaces, stuff like that. And it wasn't us just being little kids, and being clumsy. Constant nightmares and everything, but there was this one house that was really bad. It was a 2-story, and it was a really neat house because, it's like it was right there by the University of Notre Dame in a football field. So you'd sit there and, when the Fighting Irish were playing on weekends, you'd be watching it on TV and you hear like, from the actual stadium. It was really neat. And, man, the house was just messed up. My cousins that lived there always had nightmares and stuff like that, or, of this like lady with red hair and a black dress. And, my aunt was not always very nice about things, and because of stuff like this, she ended up becoming like extraordinarily like over the top religious, to where it was like like weird. It went to the other extreme. But no, there would be instances, we'd be walking around a corner, we'd swear we'd see this lady, or like figures in the wall at night. You swear to God, you'd be seeing stuff walking, like you're staring straight at another room and watch some shadow walk across a lit room. Cousins had their rooms like flipped, just destroyed, absolutely destroyed. And eventually my aunt started actually dyeing her hair red from black, and wearing darker clothes and stuff. So everyone started freaking out. But I guess what happened to me, what broke me with that, was I was young, so I was just like, okay, this is really weird. But they told me not to worry about it. So, Mexican family, we just sign of the cross, pray, and everything will be okay. Well, they were cooking fish, and at that age, I couldn't stand the smell of, fresh fish being gutted and stuff. So I went in the front room alone, and they had an iron that was turned on. I didn't realize this, but I kept seeing these like little figures running around, and it was freaking me out. And what happened though is they started coming towards me, just like from the walls. Instead of looking like a shadow of something walking past the wall, it looked like shadows coming from the wall. And it got so freaky and freaked me out so bad. I grabbed a clothes iron, that was turned on, and chucked it, and actually damaged the wall. I threw it so hard, but burned the hell out of my hand. And I went and picked it up again to throw it again. I mean, I was that afraid. I refused to go to the house after that. They eventually moved. Same stuff was happening, but not upstairs because, like I said, my aunt was really religious. And but downstairs, we had to go with an adult all the time. Some of the younger kids would sit there and stand at the doorway and start talking to the door, or if the door was cracked, they'd open it and start talking into the shadows. My little cousin, no names, but that used to live there, little girl, would sit there and say she was talking to angels. If they were angels, they're like the biblical angels that get cast down to hell, and would turn into what modern day demons are, because the things they were saying to do weren't nice, and it was just freaky. Every house they went to, except for a house in Ohio that was Amish, that was the first time they found peace. But before that, man, it was creepy. That was probably the first scary thing that ever happened to me, was those damn shadows, and always seeing them. And they always left me alone until the first time I was ever alone. They started running at me, and yeah, it could have been my imagination or something like that, but it was enough to scare the hell out of me. So that would be my first scary one.